Well, the lull in what they call soft data continued this morning as the Fed's Empire State Survey and manufacturing came in well below consensus. Now, of course, there's a lot of concerns, right? They range from geopolitical, potential domestic economic slump, the pace of the Trump economic agenda. All of these things now have resulted in near-term anxiety. But there's still sufficient belief everything's going to work out. In fact, that manufacturers report confidence in key components of the business nearly 6 months out, doing very well compared to right now. The same situation present in today's release of home builder confidence. Now, I continue to see major signs of family formation to builder sentiment that suggests a boom in housing could happen, particularly if it's aided with regulatory reform and a greater availability of products. So far, the session for the stock market has reacted more to being oversold, and the numbers beneath those headlines, again, they all bode very well for the potential of this economy and the stock market. After the bell, all eyes will be on Netflix. Their report, after beating the street by an average of 183% above consensus for 3 quarters, the last time out, the company only beat by 15%, but you can see, according to the screen, Wall Street has become believers, so they better have a great number after the bell. All right, guys, here with information on what you should be doing to help you handle your money, particularly as global tensions rise. Business boutique author Christy Wright is with us, and money manager Heather Zumarraga is with us as well. Heather, Z is the new last name.
Yes,
huh?
sir.
Let me start with Christy.
Sure.
And the business boutique.
Yes.
A lot of people anxious out there. A lot of people are afraid. Even people who voted for President Trump are reluctant to invest in the stock market, even reluctant to start a business. Why are they wrong?
You know, here's the thing. You can focus on what you can control. Sure, there are going to be variables of things you can't control. But here's what you can control. Your time, your money, your resources, your talents. You know, there's never been a better time to start a business than right now. You could start a business tomorrow with nothing more than your idea and a Facebook page.
Is that because of the internet? Or
yeah, you've got free social media, free marketing, free tools. So the barrier to entry in the marketplace is lower than ever before. It's very easy to make money on your own terms.
And Heather, you always have a great sense of the pulse of the corporate world and Main Street, right? So people are feeling better. All of these sentiment numbers have gone through the roof. But what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is a creeping anxiety as well.
It is. I think when we look at the earnings data that's coming out right now, we want to see at least 10% double-digit earnings growth across the board. Revenue growth will be key at around 6%. And unless we get a knock the cover off the ball type of first quarter earnings, we're running out of catalysts to really take this market higher, even though we have great consumer confidence. The new administration is helping small businesses, creating deregulatory environments for businesses, entrepreneurs to thrive. I still think show it. It's a show me market. Show me the money. We want to see it happen.
Right. Wouldn't 10% be knocking the cover off the ball?
It could, but that's already baked in. It's perhaps priced in. The markets have run up on all of these earnings expectations as well as the deregulatory environment and, of course, tax reform. So until we see that happen, the market's near all-time highs. There's a lot of geopolitical tensions and risk which haven't affected the markets dramatically yet, but I think that comes into play if we don't see some increasing data.
Right. Christy, on folks who are at home saying, okay, I want to try to take control of my own my own destiny, if you will. They could be aided, too, by a better regulatory environment. I mean, it's one thing when they throw all of these rules out there. Big businesses have lawyers and they have all these accountants, but the small business person, there's some serious barriers, aren't there, still, from a regulatory point of view?
Well, when you look at it, we really live in a side gig economy, and so you're seeing 40 million Americans, for example, work as freelancers or independent workers, and so you could have a side hustle where you're kind of making it up as you go. We were just talking about that, being a little scrappy. You've got several things going on, several irons in the fire, where you're able to control what you can, start with what you have, and start small, and then you probably aren't going to run into those barriers when you're starting really small.
Okay, now, if someone does that, you're encouraging people to do that, right?
Sure, absolutely. Get out there, make money on your own terms, for sure.
Do you feel like Americans are doing that? Is there a correlation between this optimism? People are feeling so much better about the direction of this country that now it's manifesting in their own lives to say, okay, the guy I want is in the White House now, so it's incumbent upon me to take advantage.
Well, I think it's partly the opportunity, which we were talking about with free social media marketing, that type of thing, but also the risk is so low. You don't have to have all this startup capital. You don't have to have a brick-and-mortar store. You can start and test and put your toe in the water, test your idea, validate your idea before you have a ton of risk.
But do you think that's because of the new administration? Because under the past administration, I mean, my father had a small business, and he said, no, forget this, because of all of the regulatory burdens and taxes. It was almost
entrepreneurship
impossible.
2 years ago went down to to the lowest level that we've had on record. And ironically, more and more foreigners are starting businesses where native-born Americans have been intimidated. But I think that's changing, to your point. I mean, maybe your book will help.
Well, it's interesting.
We need to get your book out to everyone who wants to start a business.
Yes, well, it's interesting. What I've found in my coaching and research is it's not having too many things to do that overwhelms us. It's not knowing what to do. And that's why I wrote my book, Business Boutique. It gives people a step-by-step plan to give them everything they need to start or grow a side or small business. So you can start really small where you're not having that risk and those regulations.
But people have the skill set. It's just the intimidation factor, isn't it?
It is. And you know what I've seen is most people think that fear is a bad sign. It's a sign that it's a red flag, turn back, don't do this. But what I found is fear is a normal part of the journey. So don't wait until you're not scared to do the thing you want to do. You just do it scared. You're going to learn the most by doing, so get out there and get moving. Test some things and see what works.
And speaking of fear in the marketplace right now, I'm concerned about the Federal Reserve unwinding their balance sheet. I don't think the markets are prepared for that at $4.5 trillion.
A couple of weeks ago when they found
I get it. Two more rate hikes this year. We've already had 2 rate hikes of a quarter basis point, but the bond vigilantes are back. Rates have pulled back on the 10-year to 2.23%.
What do you make, Heather, than President Trump saying, hey, you know what, he may have a change of heart with Janet Yellen. Not only will she probably finish her term, there's a chance she could be brought back in, but it feels like the caveat is to keep interest rates low. That's a great environment for small businesses
President
and
Trump
big
has
businesses.
even hinted at, hey, the dollar's too strong. He referenced that recently, saying that we want to keep rates low, and you would assume it'd be for a strong dollar, but the dollar is so strong on a relative basis right now, relative to the rest of the globe, that a weakening dollar, especially approaching $20 trillion in our debt, that matters.
Christy, people watching, again, you know, they email me, they tweet at me, they come to my website. They want to do something, but they're still a little bit reluctant. How do you nudge them over the edge? You know, is there one key thing that starts to really lure them into perhaps pursuing their all-time dream?
Well, I try to take the overwhelm out of it, and that's really what I do in the book as well. Instead of focusing on, oh, I've got to have this big business, this big dream, just take the first step. And here's what you'll find. If you just commit to that first step, whatever the quickest win, whatever the lowest hanging fruit is, when you get that quick win, it will give you confidence to take the next baby step and the next baby step. And over time, you're pursuing your passion, you're building your dream, and you're really chasing this thing, but it didn't happen because it was this big, you know, jumping off a cliff.
Right.
Instead, it was one tiny step at a time.
All right, Business Boutique. Thank you, ladies, both very much appreciated.